everybody, hope you're doing okay. It's yet another new shoe day, and today is always a nice favourite, a new Nike shoe. So I thought I had to get the Tempo Next Percent Flyknit. I think the actual box says Tempo Next Percent FK, and I think, what does that mean? I thought I had to work it out. Is it FK? So I'm slightly worried about this run because I've seen on YouTube Sestamore cut his up after running them, thought they were terrible. Andy, the Forest of Dean runner, was virtually swearing into his Instagram post earlier, saying that the worst shoe that he's ever run in, or words to that effect. It was sort of contracted by Nike. And well, in my UK size 13, which is the same as Andy, they come up to 351 grams, which is a pretty whopping shoe for a Tempo shoe. And you've also perhaps got to think, well, what actually does tempo mean? We had this discussion on a sub-3 forum group on Facebook, and there's a consensus that the tempo run is so you like your best pace for an hour. So basically that means for me it'd be just outside 6-minute miling. So I'm certainly not going to be trying 6-minute miling in these shoes today. Did a race, 800-meter race yesterday, which went rather well, 2:18, my best time for 4 years, so I was very pleased with that. So today will be a bit gentler, but I'll try and get out for about 45-50 minutes and see how they feel. Apparently they're meant to be really loud, so I'll take my camera with me and give you my thoughts as I go around. And if I've cut them up by the end of the run, then well, it hasn't gone well, but we shall see. Not many laces in these at all. Well, there's actually two there, two there, two there, and two there. So it's sort of 4 sets of 2. So it reminds me a bit like the Ultra Boost in a way. It's quite narrow, because my feet are incredibly narrow, but there's not much room there. A lot narrower than in the Alphafly. Will they slip around though? Because it's hard to get a good lockdown. You have to just hope that this is actually going to be a good lockdown. Yeah, definite reservation. There's not much room to sort of adjust the lacing on this. It kind of either sort of fits or it doesn't. You kind of think. Okay, so here they are. Hi, so I've run about 3.5 miles now in these shoes. I've just been pondering my thoughts on what to say actually. I wouldn't say they're a bad shoe. Have you ever worn the Newton shoes years ago, which tried to have that little ridge under your forefoot to make you run a run sort of more forefoot to toe off? It's kind of like that, because I've been wearing to do some track training recently, and the Dragonfly spikes make you sort of do a similar thing, although there you're running a lot faster and it feels what you're supposed to be doing. When I've run, I would say, quicker on this run than I thought I was going to. Although aerobically I'm not raw challenged, it's kind of my legs aren't really used to it, so I feel like I'm wanting to sort of get up on my toes and also land on these airbags on the forefoot and hardly notice the heel at all. I did notice on a few little drags that because of the extra weight it did feel a bit more difficult, but I think this could be a training shoe that kind of allows you to almost try to improve your form, because certainly the Alphaflys do feel kind of similar but just a bit lighter, and I don't know if you can been hearing it, but they're extremely noisy. This is really quite an unusual shoe, and I think how you could say it's the replacement for the Turbo 2, it's just nothing like it at all. I mean, I'd say it is actually quite similar to the Alphafly. Probably not many people have got one yet. I've been lucky to get one of those, and that's a bit of an acquired taste as well. I think that may turn out to be quicker than I initially thought, and certainly on this run, although I feel like I'm working quite hard, my heart rate, even talking to you, is only 130. Just talking would put it up 5 beats. So yeah, let's do a little more and I'll check in later. Hello again. So I've now just done over 6 miles, almost at home. I've got a conference call at 7, so I can't be out too long. So what do I think of these shoes? Well, I've been concentrating to my thoughts as I've been running around. I think you first of all need to define what you mean by tempo, as I said earlier. If this is like your tempo, as in half an hour hard, at the pace you can keep up for an hour in a race, then this is not the shoe for that. I would call this a tempo shoe for a long marathon run where you wanted to perhaps practice running the Alphafly or something shoe like that got you forward and sort of onto your toes almost. It's almost sort of teaching you how to run like that, because I've run 6 miles and I'd probably run faster than I was going to do, about sort of, apart from stopping for strides, sort of 7:20 pace, but my sort of thighs feel a bit tight. I think it was all the work sort of trying to push off, trying to maintain landing on these AirPods, which is kind of what it makes you want to do, but not fully, so you feel like have to give it a bit of work. I'm not really feeling the heel at all, so I think this is going to be a shoe for everybody. And if you're looking for a do-it-all shoe like the Turbo 2 probably was, which it seems on the way out, which is rather a shame, or the Endorphin Speed, then this isn't the shoe for you. It's too heavy. It makes you want to run in a certain way, which you may or not like, and it's not exactly cheap. But having said that, I think it could serve an interesting purpose. I think I need to do more runs with it. I think I run, say, a 10-12 mile run on sort of rolling country lanes that I sometimes do, but I'm just going a bit below my marathon pace, maybe sort of 7:15s, 7 minutes rather than 6:45s. Might be a interesting shoe. So it does feel quite cushioned, although just need to get used to this strange style of running. So I won't be cutting them up, I won't be taking them back, but you know, big caveat with this shoe, you really need to work out what you want it for, what you mean by tempo, and what other shoes you've got. Because if you've already got something like an Endorphin Speed and you've got some more Turbo 2s in your closet and you want something similar, then don't buy this, because it's not the same. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed this first look. What I might be interested to do is have a look at my vertical oscillation when I get back, because it feels like I'm bouncing really high, which maybe it feels I'm working quite hard, but maybe just my imagination. Anyway, so I hope you found this interesting, and I look forward to seeing the next one. So I finished the run now, a little postscript, just checked my vertical oscillation, some of the laps where I didn't stop to do strides and stuff, and it did seem to be higher than even those 2 mile reps I was doing at marathon pace in my recent shoe off. So I think my suspicions are correct, that this shoe does make you have a higher vertical oscillation, which tends to be why it just feels a bit odd, because you really are practicing sort of getting that forefoot bounce and toe off, which may not be something that you're used to. I mean, I'm, as a sort of lifelong track runner, it's sort of something I've been used to, but even for me it feels higher than I'm used to. Whether that will be a good thing remains to be seen. I think I need to look at this data a bit more, see what it's telling me, because certainly my thighs felt that was quite tough, and for a sort of a steady day that felt quite hard work, just because of all that bounce I was getting. But actually the speed wasn't too bad. I had sort of a few miles there around about 7-minute pace. I didn't really feel I was working that hard. Even that last mile when I was talking to the camera, it was a sub 7 mile, just talking to the camera, running around the local sort of circuit around here. So that was interesting. The fit, I mean, it sort of felt narrow on when I put them on, as I mentioned earlier. There's not really much you can do about it. It kind of is what it is. So normally I sort of have to cinch down the laces quite a lot, and I'd tighten them up about as much as I could do, just to make sure that my foot didn't wobble. And it didn't feel too bad. It feels very sock-like, because that is basically like a sock. There's no real traditional tongue here. It is very much like the Alphafly, you just slip it on like a sock. So it actually fits me in a way. Actually, this Tempo Next Percent fits me better than the Alphafly. The Alphafly is a lot wider at the front, and I had all sorts of spare room that I was trying to sink down. So at least in this shoe, it actually fits me a little bit better. I do notice that extra weight though, so I think, as I mentioned earlier in the end of the run, this isn't really a shoe for your fastest days. I think this is more of a marathon tempo shoe than a sort of a 5k tempo type shoe when you're sort of trying to go out for half an hour, what you feel is like your sort of good effort. I mean, I think for those sort of runs you almost need to wear race shoes, because I'm not really thinking I'm going to be able to run 6-minute miles in this for half an hour. I might as well put my spare pair of next percent to do that. Anyway, so I'll have another look at this data and see what I can make of it. But yeah, an interesting shoe, and as I said, one you need to think about quite a lot, why you want it, and then when you've got it, what are you going to do with it. But not perhaps as bad a shoe as I made out. I think it's going to have some interesting uses, but as yet I'm not quite sure what they're going to be. But as I said, marathon pace, long runs, tempos, and practice bouncing up and down may be good, or maybe not, seeing how you feel. Okay, see you later then, bye.